Hey students! So today we're going to talk about the similarity between academic writing and academic speaking, giving speeches in a classroom, and how that's similar to writing an essay in a classroom. A couple things you want to remember is that usually when you're writing an academic essay, you have your introduction, 3 paragraphs, and a conclusion. And the introduction will start with a hook or something interesting. Maybe a question that makes people think about things, or an interesting fact that maybe they have never heard before. Another thing you want to remember is that you're talking to specific people. When you're writing an essay, you're usually writing it for your teacher. Or maybe you're writing it as for the board to decide if you can move on to the next level of English speaking or not, and take more classes. So when you write, you're thinking about the people that you're writing to. So in speaking, the people are in front of you. So when I'm speaking as a teacher, I'm speaking to you, my students. So I have to think about you guys when I am thinking about what I'm going to say. And so you have to remember that your audience and also the purpose. My purpose is to teach you. So I try to make sure that everything I say is to help you learn. And so I have to remember my purpose when I'm talking. I also have to think about maybe my audience. I'm talking to my audience about something they disagree on. Maybe it's an idea and we have a different opinion on the idea. So I have to think about that. And also I have to remember cohesive devices. And those are things like repetition, which I'll focus on for this speech. Repetition is something that is really useful in the introduction and the conclusion. So I'm going to give you a bad example. These are all the things you shouldn't do. This is what it should not look like when you're giving an academic speech. And I'm going to talk about my brother and I, and tell you the similarities and differences between us. So, let's see, my brother and I, we're different because he's working right now and I'm focusing on school, and my brother is taller and I'm shorter, and my brother, he hasn't traveled, but I've traveled, and one of the things that makes us really different is that my brother, he is more hesitant about things and more cautious, and he thinks about actions before he does them. But I kind of just run forward with any idea and jump feet first into things. And so those are the things that are different about my brother and I. So, do you think that was a very good academic speech? I think probably not. A few things that weren't so good were I didn't have any kind of introduction. I just told you a bunch of facts. There was no 3 paragraphs and there was no conclusion. I used a lot of filler words like and I stopped a lot, and it wasn't very smooth, and It didn't flow very well. I also didn't have any kind of a hook or a thesis statement. I mean, there was sort of a thesis statement, but I didn't make it very clear. And so the next thing I'm going to do is give you an example of a good academic speech using some of the things that we've talked about.